What's up guys, Devon back at it again with yet another Devon Explains entry, and today I bring you my magnum opus for now. Monsterverse, solar system level, Kong beats the brakes off a Final Wars Godzilla while weakened, arm broken, half blind. Whatever you want to call it, this is me explaining to you guys why I believe that a Monsterverse Titan could just kind of punch the sun and the sun would explode. I'm not going to go over way too deep into the introduction. I'm not going to talk to you about the history of Monsterverse, none of that. I'm just going to tell you, my bad if this is extremely late, which it will probably be because I've decided to make videos while I finish this up. Mainly because this is going to be my longest video ever and it's going to take forever given that I edit on my phone. I'm an extreme procrastinator and I'm making this during summer break, which makes it even harder. I'm not so disciplined as I would like to be. Regardless, let's get right into it with yet another Devon Explains entry, which might just be the greatest and longest one for a while. At a glance, the Monsterverse Earth doesn't seem any more different than our Earth, aside from strange portals that link the surface to a gargantuan planet-sized cavern just above the core of the planet. Okay, it is very different, but for power scaling purposes, it doesn't immediately seem so different. In fact, the hollow Earth and all the portals would imply that the planet is smaller than ours on account of mass, thus making its destruction an inferior feat to your average Earth destruction feat. Then you realize these portals are specified to be black holes in both an interview with Adam Wingard and GVK's novelization.
I want to get the characters one place to the next. I don't want to waste anybody's time. And so whenever I was trying to think this through, I thought, well, what if there's this sort of like black hole vortex, that's part of the entrance, and that kind of warps you down there. And that started out.
And their nature is supported by the fact that they have a gravity well, or described as space-time distortions, and in places near them, such as the axis mundi, time is distorted, as would befit a black hole. They also exude
gamma rays in the 30 exahertz range.
Where's this radiation coming from?
That's a crazy thing. We only see these kinds of spikes from pulsars, supermassive black holes from outer space.
They're not this.
No, this was coming from the Earth.
Given all the prior context, it's more likely that they are black hole adjacent things than pulsars. Due to these pseudo-black holes' immense gravitational acceleration, their size, and some implication on their mass, as the planetary gravitational inversion talked about in said movie is in context to these vortexes, we can get the gravitational binding energy of these portals from that small moons all the way up to more consistently large planets bigger than Jupiter. And for all this gravity, the rest of the superplanet is so immensely gravitational and has matter so dense that having dozens of planets bigger than Jupiter inside him doesn't affect the planet at all. In fact, the core of the superplanet alone can match the gravity of all these portals so effectively that at a certain height from each face of the hollow Earth, gravity becomes zero. And while the vortex face of the hollow Earth has the mantle of the superplanet to help its gravity, the gravity well of all that mass is still the core of the planet, and the vortexes themselves still have their own gravitational influence, as I've talked about in passing. This inversion is due to the pseudo-black holes, and that same inversion stops working the closer you get to that core. What all of this yapping means is that the MV supercore alone has gravity and thus mass equal to 30 pseudo-black holes, whose consistent gravitational binding energy is larger than Jupiter's, with this getting us a supercore with the gravitational binding energy of stars, be it dwarf stars or red giants. And thus the superplanet in its entirety would have the same gravity as real-life behemoths like UI Scooty, smaller black holes, or even entire solar systems packed into a planet. This isn't to say that the Monsterverse superplanet is the size of a solar system. I'm saying that it has gravity similar to that or similar to a red giant's, and is so dense that its core alone has the mass of a star. When you take into account the speed at which hollow Earth portals pull you in and how long it canonically takes to get to the hollow Earth, the vortexes are 11,000 miles long and the planet is 27,000 of those. 3.5 times bigger than Earth, yet uncountable millions of times more massive. And if you want to say that all the extra time taken to get to the hollow Earth from the perspective of those in heaves is extended by the Lorentz factor, which basically means that the more gravity there is, the more distorted time becomes, you gotta realize that the heaves utilize anti-gravity to protect against that crushing, powerful gravity of the vortexes, which would also decrease the Lorentz factor to where it doesn't affect them. So that time really is how long it takes to the hollow Earth at that speed, and thus the planet really is the size of 3.5 Earths. So just off of its pure density and having such an immense gravitational binding energy, causing any destruction to this planet would be a cosmic feat of power. This idea that affecting the MV superplanet requires cosmic power is consistent with the fact that highly destructive forces consistently happen in it. The pseudo-black holes in Monarch Legacy of the Monsters exude gamma-ray bursts with gamma radiation and cosmic frequencies, and these massive supernova surpassing explosions
do fuck all to the planet.
The reason I believe these gamma ray spikes are indeed gamma ray bursts, aside from the fact that they're stated to be that, is that gamma rays are only cosmically exuded in 3 ways: either gamma ray bursts, or supernovas, or from the accretion disks of black holes, which is basically the little rings that they have around them. Given hollow Earth portals don't have accretion disks and aren't experiencing radioactive decay, aren't lightning, particle accelerators, or any of the other non-cosmic ways that gamma rays are exuded, then the only way that these vortexes would be spiking with such gamma rays is by way of supernova or gamma ray burst adjacent phenomena. Destructive bursts of energy composed of both coherent energy, which is what an explosion is made out of, and gamma ray, which is not so coherent and doesn't inherently cause destruction. To add to the fact that these gamma ray spikes are representative of a destructive force, Kong's axe absorbs the energy passively exuding from a hollow Earth portal, and after long enough, it has grown to such potency that it can boost Kong's axe's power, in a way analogous to Godzilla's purely destructive and coherent atomic breath, meaning the portal also exudes energy with the potential to cause destruction, and cosmic spikes of this energy, as I've said, do nothing to the Monsterverse superplanet. If you don't believe anything I've just said, that's fine. The titans of the Monsterverse can all produce horrific earthquakes with any movement. Them running, fighting, etc., produces shockwaves so immense that they go on to make massive earthquakes. This is not just showing improbable material alone. Shimos cries for help make earthquakes. The weak-ass Dominion Titans were making disasters of such cataclysmic proportions that the end of fodder surface life was near, and the Mucho Prime by digging causes supersonic earthquakes that rip across the planet's mantle and only really cause destruction to the top layers of dirt and human settlements. To add to the credibility of the superplanet's incinerability, when we go into Axis Mundi, a pocket where the gravity of the pseudo-black holes does work as it should, given the Lorentz effect at play in it, the planet's materials are so dense and the gravity of the planet so intense that the vortex causes no damage at all. Even when its surface is breached and it starts sucking things in, which should, regardless of what you want to believe, mean its gravity is working, it doesn't turn matter to relativistic plasma as a fucking black hole should. It works like a vacuum, pulling dust and rocks in this weird spherical ship thingy-majiggy. All of this should prove beyond a doubt that the Monsterverse superplanet, on top of being bigger than our planet, on top of being extremely massive, and that mass being expressed through insane density, is also just terribly durable. Side note, but using the Axis Mundi time dilation would make these vortexes as massive as the heaviest supermassive black holes of all time, black holes that hold galaxies together, but we're not ready for galaxy-level Monsterverse just yet. And to put the cherry on top, the supercore's energy is so indescribable that Apex covets that energy over the cosmic energies of the vile vortexes so much that the vortexes don't even enter the conversation, despite the fact that Apex has worked with Monarch and thus would know about the gamma rays and would have their own readings, which essentially adds another cool thing to the superplanet scaling, in that its core, what gives the entire planet heat and seismic activity, is more powerful than 30 black holes, which exude solar system level gamma rays. Now, why would the Titans of the Monsterverse scale to all of this? Starting off with the obvious, any and all Titans can cause destruction to the planet. Even ignoring Godzilla's monstrous power, we've established that everything in the Monsterverse Earth is extremely densely packed and has fictional durability far surpassing that of many kaiju and fictional characters in general, as well as vastly surpassing pretty much any material in our universe, except whatever black hole's made of. So even despite the fact that the top layers of material in the human buildings across the world by feats and logic should not prove to be as dense and durable as the lower regions of the planet, the fact Titans can easily shed through all of this is still extreme power. Feats surpassing most characters in potent verses like the DCEU, the MCU, My Hero Academia, etc, etc. When pushing, we can even get Ghidorah's Awakening, which destroyed a mountain, to be a large star-level feat, which, as I will go on to prove, is not all that crazy. Which was not very serious, just an attempt to snipe what Godzilla sensed was another Titan absorbing energy directly from the supercore, would prove to be a dwarf to large star feat of destruction, the dwarf star end not requiring superplanet logic. Given Godzilla was not trying to destroy, but rather to stop an opponent, this is not likely to be his full powers, and even if they were, this is a Godzilla who has been traveling and spamming his breath and fighting for a pretty long time by now. Then on in his pink state, Godzilla is stated by the scriptwriter to be able to pierce the planet itself, providing Godzilla with his solar system breath, probably with the same degree of holding back as his GVK self. Physically, a weakened Godzilla and the Prime can shatter and burrow through a tectonic plate, consistent with the fact that Prime travels through the mantle, which would require burrowing through said tectonic plates. Coupled with the endless earth-shattering power statements, this seems to be just true for any Titan relative to a weakened Godzilla 2014, the tectonic plate tier destruction. Kong is implied to be able to destroy mountains, Mothra can vaporize or dissolve clouds, which are made of superplanet materials, Tiamat can create massive storms that can be seen from space, and all of these feats, knowing what we know about the materials of the Monsterverse superplanets, would prove to be planetary to stellar powers. Mothra's cloud feat actually having the potential to be small planetary, just as it is, with no extra scaling required. When it comes to the Hollow Earth portals, which they're called vile vortexes in verse, whatever that means, any and all Titans, be they adults or babies, be it their first time or their millionth, completely tank going through the Hollow Earth portals, and can quite easily escape them by walking or flying through when they're past the visual shock of all the colors. The Titans are thus unaffected by the harmful energies of the vortexes and are straight up stronger than large planetary gravitational acceleration. Titans like Rodan and Godzilla can just exist in magma with no effects to themselves, with this lava being heated by a supercore with such intense energy that it simply blows away solar system level vortexes out of the water. Rodan himself can fly through this lava that shove it up the gravitational inversion up to the surface of the planet to make volcanic eruptions.
Theoretically, Rodan could trigger volcanic eruptions anywhere he wanted. Like, I like the idea he could dive bomb into a volcano and then almost like fly underground through the Hollow Earth and just trigger dormant volcanoes anywhere if he wanted to.
Or at least Mike Dougherty likes to think that Rodan can. Either way, by flying over a volcano, he can cause a volcanic eruption, which would be doing the exact same thing, except much more impressively. Titans derive their energy from this very supercore, with Godzilla using that energy for his own beam, and many Titans being able to survive it, though not really being relative to it. Tiamat, when amplifying herself with solar radiation, which surpasses the stockpile of the Hollow Earth, still caps at a weakened post-GVK Kong, who was already weakened to begin with. And past this, the Titans of the Monsterverse are terribly beyond humanity, who themselves can match the gravity of the vortexes. When I say match, I mean that the Heaves, as I've said before, use anti-gravity to save the humans inside them from the pseudo-black holes. Given that anti-gravity is just an opposing force to gravity that works in the opposite way, you'd need an equal amount of gravity to the vortexes to not get so much as scratched. And this is what a whole planet's worth of anti-gravity does to protect humans from Kong. so much more potent as Kong than these heaves that their entire engine's power is the same to him as a shock pad. Which, mind you, this heave engine that can maintain cosmic levels of anti-gravity pulsing all of its energy out in one burst would only light Monsterverse Texas for a week, which does add credibility to why the Titans can get amplified from this energy and why the Titans decide to feed from these energies if they are desperate. There's more, Mechagodzilla's Hollow Earth energy being the humans just replicating the supercore's energy themselves, Ghidorah being able to scorch the surface of the planet likely by using storms, which are the equivalent of his body heat, and many more things. But I have made my point, that not only do the Titans have extensive and casual scaling to the planet, their feats also would prove to be cosmic without even the superplanet scaling and would only be mightier with it. But this is not what the Monsterverse caps. This is all just extremely casual existence scaling, durability feats, and destructive capacity feats. If they were not, you could still defend the idea that the Monsterverse Titans are not solar system level, rather planetary to stellar ranges. This though is untrue, because all the prior scaling, as I've said, is casual, or even better, a product of their existence. The Titans of the Monsterverse, at their full attack potency powers, scale above the superplanets. Shimo has the strength to destroy the Monsterverse planet.
Breath that can freeze everything, and you also heard its call, and she's massive.
Shimo's sort of this weapon of mass destruction. She's so powerful, she can basically destroy the planet.
That's it, she's just that strong, there's nothing more to say. Ghidorah is a planet destroyer, and given the sun scales above the hollow Earth with a small portion of its solar winds, and a meteor from space can affect the superplanet so much that its surface radiation is changed for hundreds of millions of years, it stands to reason to think that the Monsterverse universe is just as strong proportionally as the Monsterverse superplanet, and thus other planets would also share Monsterverse Earth scaling, which would tie in with Ghidorah existing at all, as Titans originate from the hollow Earth and thus the supercore, and Ghidorah being a planet destroyer would be destroying all of these super planets across his lifetime and feeding on them, which is his favorite feeding method, and anything else he does is either with better food sources or when he is desperate to get a temporary boost. Godzilla's energy ratings, not his atomic breath, his energy ratings are stated by Apex to be relative to the hollow Earth. Apex themselves have had 2 encounters with Godzilla and have worked with Monarch, and thus would have their data sets on Godzilla's energy. What this means is that Godzilla's body heat is equal to the super core, this being either the filthily weakened Dominion Godzilla or Pensacola Gochi. Either one would imply Godzilla's existence equals that of hundreds if not thousands of supernovas. This is not inconsistent with the fact that Godzilla can produce cosmic levels of gamma radiation for mere communication, and his breath being the most potent thing in nature, which, given the cosmic things in the Monsterverse superplanet and this statement by Keyes, could and should include all those horribly potent cosmic objects, which things incredibly inferior to him, such as the pseudo black holes, already have energy comparable to. What all of this yap means is that Godzilla, by existing, is solar system level, and his atomic breath is even deeper into that. And just to add to all of this, the Ion Dragon and Godzilla in Legacy of the Monsters are stated to be able to completely annihilate the Monsterverse planet, which is yet another planetary statement not inconsistent with Ghidorah's planetary destruction and feeding off planets, as well as his body creating storms potent enough to eventually scorch said superplanet of all life. Add this to Shimo's undeniably planetary power with no requirement for explanation, Godzilla's superiority to his home planet, and the endless other stuff that I've discussed. You can only come up with one single conclusion upon this massive preponderance of evidence. The Monsterverse kaiju are solar system level.